Now, whenever you need to convert so one data type to another data type, then you need to make use of these functionalities. Okay, so how to use this functionality? Let's say, for example, I'd like to convert some string to int 32. You need to make use of int 32. But if you just write it as int 32, system doesn't recognize it as a valid method, because system doesn't know anything about 2 into 32. So as I said, in order to make use of any functionality, the complete reference has to be provided. So how to use this? When you talk about 2 into 16 or 2 into 32, it is a functionality which is available under convert class. Convert is a class which is available under system namespace. So how to use this? Convert dot 2 into 16, convert dot 2 into 32, convert dot to string, convert dot to boolean. So that class name has to be used. So let's go back to our programming environment. Give me a second, I'll get my mouse. Okay guys, is it visible now? Okay. So now what has to be done? So when it comes to console.readline, see, here A is of type int. Int is nothing but int 32. So what is the type of A? Int 32. So A always expects only int 32 values to be supplied. What console.readline is going to return? It is going to return a string. That string internally contains integer, but externally it is a string. Right? Now what has to be done? So whatever the value which is being written by this statement, by this read line, that has to be converted into this respective data type, the left side data type. What is the type of left side variable? Int 32. So this has to be converted into int 32. So in order to convert any data type to int 32, so which function has to be used? That is 2int 32. 2int 32 will take care of converting any data type to int 32. If at all you need to convert any data type to string, you have to use toString. If at all you need to convert any data type to boolean, you will have to use toBoolean. So like this, here I have mentioned only few functionalities. For each and every data type, there is a equivalent functionality available under convert class. Okay, so let's convert this into 32 data type. How to use this? What is the class name? Convert dot. See, here you can see all variables, 2 boolean, 2 byte, 2 char, 2 decimal. Some special data types are also provided here. Later we'll see that. So 2 int 32 of this value. So now what will happen? So once you call console.readline, so this is going to read the value from the console window, and that will be written in the form of a string. That string is going to be converted into 32 data type, so which is going to be stored under A. Next, yes, we got our first input. We asked the user to enter first number, and we successfully stored that into our first location. What is our next step? Now you will have to ask him to enter second number. Again, read that value from the console window, store it into your second variable, that is B. So ask him to enter second number. Console.writeLine. Please enter second number. So this message will be displayed on the screen. So once you see this message, immediately you will enter one more number in the console window. Now what do you need to do? So read that number from the console window and store it into B. So again, same story. If you want to read any value from the console window, you have to use console.readline. You would use console.readline. But again, when you talk about console.readline, your user is going to enter a number. Here, if you use console.readline, so it reads everything in the form of a string. So number can also be read in the form of a string. So if you say B is equal to, again, console.readline, so what will happen? Again, it throws the error, because console.readline reads everything in the form of a string, but B is of type integer. So again, what has to be done? Again, it has to be converted into left side data type. Convert dot 2 into 32 of console dot read line. Okay. Yes. Now we got everything what we need to proceed with the operation, right? User has entered A and user has also provided B value. Yes, all inputs are available. Next, what is to be done? Now you need to start your operation. What is our operation? You need to find sum of these two numbers. It means you need to add those two values, find the sum of those two values and return the result back to the user. And you have to tell the user, hey boss, so the sum of your two numbers is so and so, 10, 20, 30, 40. So again, that result has to be displayed back on the screen. Okay, so first, what has to be done? First, you have to add these two numbers. So whenever you want to perform addition between two numbers, so what has to be used? Plus operator has to be used. So add these two numbers. Once you add these two numbers, it will generate a result. That result has to be stored into your third variable, that is going to be sum. Sum is equal to A plus B. Now what will happen? So this operator, plus operator, will take care of adding A with B and returns a result. That result is going to be stored under sum. Yes, our operation is finished. Now what has to be done? We should let user know about this result. Again, you need to present this result back to the user. So again, if you want to present something to the user, you have to use output statement. Console dot write line. The sum has to be printed. So where is the sum? Sum is available under this variable. So you need to display the sum. That's it. Right? Our program is ready. Now we have automated the process of finding sum of two numbers. Earlier we used to calculate it manually. Instead of on behalf of you, now system will take care of it. Right? If you just provide two numbers, it will take care of finding sum of those two numbers and returning result back to you. Right? So we have automated the process of finding sum of two numbers. This piece of code itself is called as a product application software. What is a project? The automation of a simple business requirement is called as product application software. The requirement can be anything. Automation of any requirement is called as project. See, here we have written a small code snippet. So this piece of code itself is called as a project software application. Right? We have automated the process of something. We have automated the process of finding sum of two numbers. This is a very small requirement. It can be a bigger one. When it comes to real-time environment, there you might be seeing some complex requirement, but ultimately the process will remain same. You need to automate the manual process. That is called project. Okay. Now our project is ready. Now in order to execute your application, your project, what has to be done? First, it has to be compiled to rectify the errors. So how to compile our program in .NET environment? So it is very simple. We have multiple options. The first option is you'll have to click on this green color button, start. If you just click on start, it will take care of compiling as well as executing your program. If you don't want to click on this, if you want to use a shortcut key, yes, you can. Either click on that button or press F5. Press F5. This is a shortcut key for compiling and running your application. Okay, so let's use both options. First, I am pressing F5. Otherwise, you can click on start. See, please enter first number 12. Please enter second number some 13. The result has got displayed, but I'm unable to see that properly, right? Once the execution gets finished, result will be displayed, immediately window will also be closed. But in order to see that result properly, you need to hold that window for some time. How to hold it? You need to write a small statement called console.read. This is nothing but get ch in C. What will happen once control comes to this line? It will display the result. Next it will go to this line. This is what a read statement. So this will hold the window until some input is provided, some input is entered by the user. If you press any key, the input will be supplied to the system. So immediately this line execution will also be finished. So the window will be closed. So it will hold the window until some key is pressed by the user. Please enter first number 12, 13, 25. See what is 25? User cannot understand this language, right? You should always present some user-friendly message because he may not be a technical people. So you have to present some user-friendly message to the user saying that was sum of two numbers is 25. So it means in order to present some user-friendly messages, sometimes you need to concatenate some user-friendly message with the actual result. So the actual result is there in sum. So you need to concatenate your actual result with some user-friendly message saying that bus sum of your two numbers is 25. The sum total is 25. So whatever it is. So how to concatenate a message with your result? So whenever you want to concatenate a message like this, sum of two numbers is, you can write anything in double quotes. This is our user-friendly message. Now this has to be concatenated with your result. So to concatenate two strings, you have to use plus symbol. Plus symbol. Plus will take care of concatenating two values. Now the message will be displayed something like sum of two numbers is, and whatever is there in the sum, that number will be displayed. So let's see this execution. So how to see live execution process? Coming to real-time applications, if you're working on the production system, so once you get any production defect, so immediately you need to go back to your code and start debugging your application. You need to see where exactly that error is occurring. So you need to debug your code and get it fixed immediately right there. Okay, so in order to debug your code, you need to see that live execution process, line by line execution. So how to see that, how to debug your code? So wherever you want to stop the debugging, wherever you want to stop the compiler and see the line by line execution, there you need to insert a breakpoint. How to insert it? Let's say I would like to see that live execution process right from this first statement. So wherever you want to stop that, just go there and keep one breakpoint here. Either press F9 or just double click here. So one toggle breakpoint will be inserted. So once the control comes to this line, it will be stopped over there. From there, you can drive it. From there, you can drive the execution process. You can see line by line execution. Okay, so let's see how to do this. Just click on start. See, it has got stopped. So in order to drive it, in order to see the line by line execution, you'll have to press, here you can see all the options. If you go to debug menu, see here you can see step into step over. If you want to see line by line execution, you'll have to press F11. If there is any subprogram call, if you want to skip that subprogram call and go to next line, press F10. You can use any one of these two. If you press F11, if there is any subprogram call, immediately the control will go to subprogram, and there also you will see line by line execution. If you want to skip that subprogram call, if you think there is no issue in the subprogram, I don't want to go into that, I want to go to next line. So in that case, make use of F10. So later we'll see more about it. Okay. Now press F11. One second. Okay. Now it went to next line. Now it will ask user to enter number. I have entered some 20. See, here you can see a value. What is the value of a? If you want to see it, every time you cannot drag your mouse, right? Just pin this. Just if you just pin this, it will be appeared on the screen. You can see it right there. Okay, like this. You can do same thing with B also. Any variable you can do this with any variable. Okay, A, B, and sum. Just pin this onto your screen. Okay, now we just read a value. We entered a value. So now you'll have to read B as well as you have to find out the sum. Now we are at next line. Now it will ask user to enter second number. Once you enter that number, it reads that number from the console window and stores it into B. So again press F11 to go to next line. See, now it will ask you to enter second number, some 30. See, now the value of B is 30. A is 20, B is 30. Now we are going to perform the addition operation between these two. Now this will take care of calculating, adding A and B and storing result into sum. Press F11. See, what is the sum? Is 50. Our operation is done. Now what has to be done? This has to be presented back to the user saying that sum of two numbers is whatever is there in sum, that number has to be displayed. See, sum of two numbers is 50. Once the execution is finished, just press this F5. Any questions, guys? Any questions so far?
Yeah, I got one question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
I just text you the question. Is that a read key solves the same purpose as read?
Read key is different. So read coming to ASCII values, there is slight difference between read and read key. Okay, sometimes you may need to write your logic like a machine language kind of thing. Sometimes you need to read ASCII keys. So in that case, the difference will come to the picture.
No, I
Read
just
key,
wrote the read key. The display has stopped.
you can use any one of these two. Basically, both reads a single character. So what will happen whenever you press your enter your key, it returns internally, it returns ASCII character, right?
Okay.
If you press enter key, internally it returns ASCII character. So ASCII will have some equivalent number. Okay, so coming to read, it reads a single character, but coming to read, it reads combination of ASCII characters. That cannot be done through your read key, right? What is the ASCII character of enter? It will be some number, right? Each character, each key will have some ASCII number like 23, 24, 15, 16, 12. The ASCII character of enter is 12. Like this, each key will have some ASCII characters internally. So coming to read key, it reads a single character, but coming to, if you need to play around your ASCII characters, so for example, if you need to write some logic based on some ASCII characters, if you need to play around that, so there console.read will be useful. There you cannot use read key. But in case of to hold your window, we are just holding that window. So you can write any statement. You can write read key or read. Both will do that operation. But we are just holding the window. We are not doing any operation, right? The holding can be done through any one of these two. We are not, this console.read, it doesn't do anything, just holds the window, right? But ultimately there is a lot of difference between read and read key. So if you need to play around, your ASCII keys, so there obviously you cannot use read key, you can use only read. Once try, one program with read. Don't use read line, so try to use read, then you'll get to know the difference. Okay. Here we are using read line, right? So try to enter some value and read it using read and try to display it. Then you will get to know the difference between read line and read key. Okay. Any questions, guys? Any other questions? Okay. So now you know how to write a basic program in C#, right? You know how to add two numbers. If I ask you to find out subtraction of two numbers, can't you do that? You can, right? Product of two numbers, division of two numbers. Okay. So that will be your exercise. So everybody should practice it. Okay. Write a program. Please note down. So as I said, if you want to become expert in .NET, you should follow all my instructions. If I ask you something to practice, so you should strictly follow those instructions. So whatever the exercise that I'm asking you to practice, so you should definitely practice those exercises. Okay. So please don't ignore them. Okay. Now I'll give you some exercise for your practice. Please write down. Write a program. Write a program to calculate product of three numbers. Write a program to calculate product of three numbers. Better play with both integers and floats. Number can be integer or float. Better play with both integer and float. Next, write a program to calculate the following operation, to perform the following operation, to perform the following operation. Here, A, first divide first number with second number. You need to ask user to enter two different numbers and divide first number with second number. B, get both quotient and remainder of the calculation. Right? You would be needing four different variables. Two for input, one for first number, second variable for second input. And coming to division, always division generates two different results. In case of addition, subtraction, multiplication, you can expect only one result. Addition gives only one result. Subtraction, multiplication also produce only one result. But coming to division, here it will produce two different results. Those are going to be quotient and remainder. As we discussed yesterday, to support division operation, C# has provided two operators. What are those? Slash and modulus. Slash and modulus. If you use slash, it will give you quotient. If you are looking for a remainder, you would use modulus. Okay. So here you need to define four variables, one for first input, one for second number, and third variable for storing quotient, and fourth variable for storing remainder. Next, write a program to swap two numbers. To swap two numbers. write a program to swap two numbers. It means, let's say A is equal to 20, B is equal to 30. Okay. Now you have to swap these two numbers. It means B value should be placed into A value should be placed into B. Let's say I have two bowls. The first bowl contains water, second bowl contains milk. Now I'll have to exchange these two, like, I'll have to swap these two. The second bowl milk should be placed into first bowl of water should be placed into second bowl. Okay. Now you'll have to swap these two numbers, A and B. Okay. So this will be little tricky that everyone should try it out. Okay. Please don't copy or don't search answers for this in your Google, or going forward also these are very basic examples. So going forward we'll be implementing some real-time complex examples. Okay, so you should try it on your own. Okay, if at all you are finding some difficulty, please let me know. Okay, so daily we can spend at least 10 to 20 minutes to clarify all your questions, but ultimately you should try it on your own. Don't take any help, any other's help. Okay, so you need to start learning building logic right from today. Okay, so you came here to learn the things. Okay, that's why don't take any other helps. So ultimately you should try it on your own. Okay, so nobody will get succeeded in the first attempt. You should keep on trying, so then only you will get succeeded. Okay, so I am here to help you. Okay, but ultimately everybody should learn so how to build the logic in the real-time environment. That is our target. If you want, I can finish all the concepts in just 1 month, but nowhere it will be helpful, right? Ultimately you are going to be a developer. You need to develop the programming, so that's why you should be aware of every part of programming model. Okay, so now everyone is new to this environment, so this is the right time, right opportunity for you to learn writing all the logics and everything. Okay, so please do practice all these examples. Okay, so please do try all these examples on your own. Don't take any help from Google or any other your friends. Okay, so tomorrow I will verify all these programs, output of all these programs. Okay, you need to try these 3 programs. So write a program to calculate product of 3 numbers, and the second one you need to calculate quotient and remainder, and third one swapping of 2 numbers. So you need to write a logic. Just think of it. Okay, so just do remember that whenever you want to build any logic, first you need to think of how you will be doing it manually. If I ask you to do the same, how do you do it manually? First think about manual process. Even in the real time also, if you need to write some logic, first think about manual process. If I ask you to do it manually, how do you do it? Just write the step, put all steps on your paper. Write down all steps on your paper, then convert them into your logic. If you don't think about manual process, if you don't compare it with manual process, it will be very difficult to structure your logic. Read me. Even if you're a technical experienced guy, you should do the same process. If at all you need to write some logic, first you need to think about the manual process. So how you will be doing it manually? So what needs to be done to achieve this process? So first think about manual process, divide that manual process into steps, put down all the steps on your paper, then convert all those steps one by one into the logic. Here also same thing. If at all you need to swap 2 numbers, just think about manual process. On the left hand you have something, on the right hand you have something. So how to swap these 2? Okay, so you should always think about manual process whenever you want to write a logic. Okay guys, so I'll check all these programs in the next class. Please make sure everybody is doing this. Okay, you're at the beginning only. Okay, so if there are any questions, any clarifications, I'm here to help you. Okay, so but ultimately at the end of the day, you should be in a position to write logics on your own. That is what our target. To reach that target, you should keep on practicing different examples.